Hey class, so we're back and we are in the previous shape animation project that we created when we were creating this morphing square to circle and back to square again. Notice that I made a pre-composition, so this is the composition symbol from that previous exercise. And then I'm going to hide this layer and turn on the next layer. I also created a very similar one with a flower, one of those stars with roundness applied, and turn it into a square and keeping it in place. So there's a lot of different things that you can do. I'm in my main composition for this, and I just added these extra compositions. Now, one thing you can do is keep your project organized. So I'm going to turn this morphing into, I'm just going to move it into the pre-composition folder. And I'm also going to take my flower star and move that into the pre-composition folder. That way, when I'm working on my main comp, I can keep everything nice and organized and clean. All right, so let's do our next exercise, which is going to be a text morphing animation. So let's go back into our main comp. I'm going to turn off visibility and lock these other compositions for now. And let's add some text. So I'm going to go up to my text tool, click, and this one I'm going to say is going to say morph, O-R-P-H. Let's see, I have archivo text selected, and I'm going to make it bold. And let's make this, sorry, whenever I turn on caps lock, it makes it funky. Okay, I'm going to make this 200. So to scale this in size, I'm just clicking over the field and then dragging it left or right. And then I'm going to make another text layer, so I'm just going to duplicate this one. So you can go to Edit and Duplicate, or just Command D. I'm going to turn off the visibility of the first one, and this one I'm just going to rename this T-H-I-S. There we go. And for this, notice that my pivot point is not in the center. Sorry, I keep turning on caps lock. I can click and drag this pivot point to wherever I like, so that if I want to, say, rotate it from here, I can do that. The anchor point or pivot point tool is this tool right here. And to just center it, I'm going to hold down Command and double click like we did in the last video. So Command and double click. Next thing, I want to align this text to the center of the composition. So I'm going to grab my Align menu, these open up, and align it horizontally and vertically. There we go. Let's do the same thing with the other layer. I'm going to, with my anchor point tool on, I'm going to Command and double click. Did that work? Command and double click. Sorry, I seem to have my, there we go. Use the arrow, then Command and double click the anchor point tool. All right. And then let's align this to the center and to the vertical center. All right, so if I turn on both of these layers, you can see that they're completely overlapping each other. And so the next step that we're going to do is we're going to select our morph text. We're going to right click on it, or remember you can control click, and we're going to go to create. Now there are two ways of doing this. You can create shapes from text or create masks from text. I'm going to show you the create masks way because it's helpful if we have letters that are not 100% aligned. So we have 5 letters in morph, we have 4 letters in this, so this will help us. So create mask from text. And you can see that we've got this outlines. And then let's go to this, right click and create mask from text as well. So you'll notice that when I created this, that the actual masks themselves turned white, so they're a bit hard to see. So let's go down to our pale orange solid. I'm going to go to Layer, Solid Settings, and we're just going to choose a new color. So I'm going to go to my oranges because I like orange, and click OK and hit OK. Now when I go up to my morph outlines, you can see I'm going to press inverted, and I'm also going to hide this layer just so we can see what just happened. So you can see now I have inverted my mask. So I'm going to close this visibility on the morph outlines, and let's turn on the visibility on this layer. So I'm going to do the same thing, just click on inverted, and that will get us inverted so we can see our text that we're working with. All right, next thing I want to do is the actual text layers we're not going to be using anymore, so I can either remove them or just move them out of the way. So I'm just going to move them down. Okay, so now let's turn on the visibility of the morph outlines, the morph layer. And I'm just going to dive into the layer here, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see what I'm working on here. So within each layer, there's masks, and then there's the letter. I'm going to make sure my time slider is at the beginning of time, and turn on the mask path. All right. And so that just sets a keyframe that it's going to start at the letter M in this shape. So let's go down to the next letter, which is O, and turn on that mask path. And then notice that there's two letter O's. This outside O, or the big O, is the outside of the letter O. And then the next one is the inside of the letter O. So we're going to turn on for that one the mask path and mask expansion. Because we're going to kind of make this little O disappear. Okay, we're going to do this next thing. Same thing with the R, turn on the mask path so it sets a keyframe. And then the same thing with the second R, we're going to turn it on as mask path and also mask expansion, turn that. Next thing with the same thing with the P, mask path and mask expansion on the second one. And then the H is just mask path. Okay, so let's go back, zoom back up to morph outlines. I can press U, and that will show me just the layers that have a keyframe on them. All right, so I'm going to hide this one, and I'm going to do the same thing to this. So turn on that layer, open it up, and open up your individual layers if you need to. So let's go to the T, turn on the mask path, go to the H, turn on the mask path, go to the I, mask path, and S, mask path. Perfect. And none of these have multiple pieces to the letters, so we don't have to worry about the mask expansion on this. I'm going to press U, and it's going to show me just the keyframes that we created. Okay, so now what we're going to do, I'm just going to zoom back out a little bit, is we're going to copy these keyframes and place them onto the letter morph outlines. So let's do that first. So go to the M, mask path. Let's move our time slider ahead a little bit. And I'm going to go copy, let's copy the T. So I'm just going to go to the keyframe for the mask path of T, Command C, and go down to the M layer, click on this keyframe while having my time slider over here, and just Command V to paste this. So now what we're seeing is that the M is turning into the T and then back again. Cool. So that's the M. Let's go to the O. So for the O, I'm going to move my time slider back up. The O is going to be corresponding with the H. So I'm just going to copy this H, Command C, and click on this keyframe to activate this layer. Leave my time slider where it is, Command V. Okay, we're going to skip the little O for right now. Let's go to the R. So the R is going to correspond with the I. So let's copy this I keyframe, Command C. Click on the R layer to activate it, and Command V. Let's skip the other R and go to the P. And so let's go to the S layer, copy this guy. Go to the P layer, click on that one, and Command V. All right, so let's turn off the visibility of this. Turn on the visibility of the morph, and let's see what we got here. So we got morph. Let's click off of this. So we're getting pretty close. What we need to do is get rid of this H, so it's gonna go into nothing, and then we need to worry about these centerpieces next. So to fix the mask expansion issue, so I'm just going to close out this layer and hide it because we actually don't really need it anymore. Could probably just delete it. Here we go. And for the other pieces, we're going to go to the little O. So let's go to that little O. I'm going to move it ahead in time to make sure that I'm on the right keyframe. And then for the mask expansion, I'm just going to click in here and drag it until it disappears. Do you see how it disappeared here? So for this one, it's -49 pixels. Do you want to make sure that you're going the negative direction? If you go the positive direction, it's going to get bigger, which could be fun. But let's just go negative. All right, same thing with the R. We're going to do the little piece of the R. We're going to do mask expansion on this. So I'm going to click and drag to the left and make sure it disappears. For the P, same thing. Mask expansion, click and drag to the left. And then the H itself is, I never set the keyframe for this one, so I'm going to go to the front here, click on mask expansion, so this is set to 0. Go back to where my other keyframes are, and I'm going to set this one to -42. So now we should be able to go from this morph to this, morph to this. All right, or morph this. Morph this. Great. So one other thing we can do, let's click on our morph outlines layer and just type in U. So we're seeing only the keyframes of our layers. I'm going to click and drag all of these keyframes, and I'm going to right click, keyframe assistant, easy ease. And then that wasn't all of them, so I'm just going to scroll down, grab these guys, right click, keyframe assistant, easy ease. And same thing, right click, keyframe assistant, easy ease. Now if I wanted to go from morph in this and then back to morph, I could just click and drag and copy all of these guys. So Command C, move my time slider up, and Command V. All right, so we're going this, morph, this, and then back to morph again. And then finally, if we want to hold on this, I'm going to grab all these and just move them to the right for a tiny bit. So let's grab all our center keyframes. I'm just going to kind of move my arrow down, copy these guys, and let's paste them here. And so there should be no change between this and this. Perfect. All right, let's click off of this and let's hit spacebar to play. Morph this, morph this. Perfect. So that's this exercise. Hope you had fun and learned a little bit about these mask paths. And please export this as an animated GIF and upload it for the exercise. So remember, if you're going to export, go to File, Export, add to the Adobe Media Encoder queue, and then save it as an animated GIF. All right, let me know if you have questions on that. Thanks, class.